I had a clip, and it was like, first of all, every comedy club has like a piece of paper somewhere up front that it says, by entering this space, you may be filmed. Some of them have it, some of them don't. This club, it did have it. Person, it was a normal interaction. I was talking about couples counseling. They're like, ugh. And I was like, what? And he said, the couples counseling, they always favor the woman. Everyone booed. And then we found out he was gay. And he just thinks it was strange.
Weird.
And then he talked about his dating life. And he ended up saying that he was he dealt with child exploitation videos. And he's like, nothing funny about that. And I was like, well, let's try. And we kept going. And he said he went on dates where he would tell people on the date.
Wait, sorry. He struggled with child?
No, he works in that. So he's like in a law enforcement.
He like helps film and distribute.
No.
No, he's a
We're
cop.
the production company that brought you. He's a cop.
He's a gay cop.
Oh, I saw this clip. You posted it already.
Yeah, I posted it.
You blurred his face.
So I blurred his face. So basically he said, this was the funny part, where he said he went on dates and he would tell his date that he owned a mini golf course because he thought it would be too dark to bring up what he actually did. And, of course.
Psychotic.
It's
I juggle plates for a living.
Why would you pick something that requires so much? Like, you just say you're an accountant.
Okay, you're just quoting my video right now.
Oh, okay.
And it's one of those delightful, I just go, what? And I'm like, this video is going to do well.
Yeah.
And then the big punchline was he reveals it on the third date. I'm like, well, I guess in a sense you still work with little holes. And it was, okay, good, thanks. And it was so, because it was.
It's hard to laugh on a podcast knowing you're being recorded at the punchline. You work with little holes.
I know.
I mean, it's funny, but it's.
And the pressure, the
it's
scare
jarring.
he gave me until I laughed.
He did look at you like you were watching his favorite movie.
If I can't release the video, I need to get the joke out somehow. Somehow, some way.
You did release the video. What are you talking about?
I did release it. No, but so I released it, and it was doing well enough, and I blurred out his face, which I don't always do, but it just felt like, oh, it's an undercover cop who's quite mouthy for an undercover cop, given where they are.
Telling everyone, telling the whole audience what he does.
And I thought, like, oh, I'll go out of my way to blur it.
Yeah.
And when I say my way, I whipped Liam Nelson.
Yeah,
how blur this immediately.
How generous you are to to blur the face proactively of the undercover cop who was doing crowd work with you at the show.
And then I'm on the plane. I'm on the plane back from Edmonton, and
this was in Edmonton.
No, it was in D.C. But
Okay.
I was flying back from Edmonton this past weekend.
I was like, who cares about a cop in Canada? I mean, do they even have police?
Yeah.
Are you a Mountie?
Yeah. And they wrote me, let's see. So, okay. They basically, I saw on the plane, I was featured in a video at your comedy show. The video posted has the potential to cause immediate harm to me, my family, and my work. I actively receive threats to my life and have taken significant steps to protect my identity. Okay. You take significant steps to protect your identity?
Yeah.
Then why? Then just stick with the mini golf.
And that
don't say your profession on your dates, but at the beginning of a comedy show?
And that man's name is... No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, God, if it's in the camera. All right. Note to my editor, please check the camera to make sure.
It is crazy to make a noise. And, you're like... He wanted to engage,
and I blurred his face.
Yeah,
so I might.
So you took it down after that.
I took it down swiftly. And,
did you respond to him?
Yeah, because there were clips, and one clip we just talked about something else, and I was like, this too, and who knows? Part of me was like, I'll re-release it without the audience angle.
Yeah,
because then it's just audio. Who gives a shit?
Well, at least he follows you on social media. That's good.
Yeah, he wrote the full slate. He wrote the full.
Now he'll stay watching you to make sure you don't.
Wait, so how do you reckon with the difference between posting that clip and talking about it on this podcast? And that's actually a serious question.
Sure, because it could, less comedy. So I
think it's interesting.
No, because
I just meant I'm not saying that to fuck with you.
It's just a matter is identification. This person publicly at a comedy show told this story.
Right.
Showing video of them, I am sensitive to the concept that crowd work in general, we are taking great liberties. This is the second video I've removed. One, someone just didn't like the comments they were getting about it, and they asked to be removed. And I don't want to be an asshole. I think we have been given a generous gift, and we exploit this thing. People are actively participating in. You can't be foolish at this point. But I think the fact that the video identified this person, even with the blurred face, maybe you see the shape, you see the clothes, all these things together, you put something together.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that email is more hyperbolic than it needs to be because it just wants it to be taken care of swiftly.
Yeah.
But I think like sharing my experience, I'm allowed to talk about what happened at a comedy show. The part that I think is extra is you being filmed. That's my current philosophy with crowd work. And I think this is a new thing that we're all navigating what the ethics of it are.
What are the ethics of outing people's personal lives when they're put on the spot in front of a crowd and don't know how to protect themselves or we're comfortable while promoting our own careers to make more money? What are the ethics of that? And the answer is we need to make more money and sell more tickets.
Yes. But there's also a difference between like what do you do for work? No, please move on. What do you do for work?
Yes.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah.
This was someone who fully and actively was participating.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there is a certain thing about a cop, an undercover or whatever this
But
is.
You know what they say about cops?
Why'd you say it under your breath?
I don't know.
Editor, boost that up so it sounds like he's screaming it in. You ever have someone ask you to take a video down?
So I've had two of these instances. The first was pretty cut and dry to me. The first was and I'll just say it now because it's been a while and I don't think it's going to cause this person issues. But there's this Jewish school called hilarious name.
You said it was like I'd be like, oh,
I've been there.
I dated a girl from.
Well, you basically do date a girl from pardon me for thinking that might be where she went. It is a chain school.
She'll be like, you didn't know I went to.
Yeah.
I told you this 3 times.
And she was a teacher, and she was talking about. She was basically shitting on certain parents for being overly neurotic. Jewish parents, neurotic, what? And I posted a clip of it. It went viral immediately on TikTok. This was back when I was like TikTok, like I could do no wrong on TikTok. Like everything I posted was just off to the races. And within an hour, she had her job threatened by the head of because it was such a niche thing. It had gotten first to then there were people in the comments saying her name based on her voice. They were like, we go to I was hitting the Jews so hard at that time. Now the Jews are hitting other people. But at the time, I was kind of drilling down on the Jews. Nice, good role reversal. And she reached out and was like, hey, could you please take that down? I think I'll lose my job. So I took that down. Mm-hmm. The second time that it happened was a lot more interesting. The story was of a young man who was born Hindu. He lived in. He converted to Mormonism after he was shot at by the Ku Klux Klan at point blank range, and all of the bullets missed him. He decided that it was a divine act of Joseph A. Smith.
And all you asked him is, what do you do for work?
That's a lot of history.
I said, where are you in school? He said, I said, oh, are you Mormon? He said, yes. I said, oh, and you're Indian? He said, yes. I said,
I love that's the white version.
Yeah.
That's like I was just jealous of like Andrew Schultz will be able to like say something racial, but we'd be like, and another fact,
another observation.
You're Indian. Any reflection off that point?
Yeah.
Yes.
I always tread a little lightly there. First of all, I always ask if I'm right. I'm like, you're Indian, correct? Because I don't, you could be white. Just look really Indian, but
that's what I do just to show how progressive I am. If it's a black person, I go, "You're Asian."
Yeah.
Sorry.
When I see black people, I'm not even kidding. When I see black people in the crowd, I do ask if they're black before I say they're black, even when it's very obvious that they're black. I just go, "Are you black?" And then everyone laughs.
Yeah.
And then I go, "Well,
that's a good bit. That's a decent bit.
Whatever,
Yeah.
I just you can never go wrong asking too much. So I was like, "So you're Indian?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, I feel like Indians aren't usually Mormon. That's how we got into it. He was like, well, I converted. I was like, that's so much more interesting than being adopted, which is the first riff I did was like, you were adopted by some white folks. You know, they wanted a brown one or whatever. And not a brown one, a beautiful brown, whatever.
I don't think one is okay.
One's okay. Yeah. One individual, beautiful person. Brown.
Whatever you're thinking, it's even worse. I can see.
Russell, we could see the racism in your heart. Russell, just say the word. You're thinking of a slur.
My God.
Russell,
My God, once we have AI that can like generate like your voice exactly, I'm gonna ruin your life.
I think we already do. It's
I
just
think
a
we
matter of putting in the effort.
Yeah.
So we did this whole crowd work dance, and I wanted to post the clip. He came up to me right after the show, and he said, first of all, I did like 20 minutes on it, slaughtered. Like, I found every riff perfect, big
Unlike the KKK.
Unlike the KKK failed to slaughter at very close range.
Yeah.
And I was able to hit every shot.
You didn't miss once.
No, I pumped this guy full of shots. This beautiful, beautiful Mormon Indian genius.
And he came up right after the show.
Right after the show on the meet and greet line, and he said, sort of almost shaking, he said, I've worked for years with an FBI informant to protect my identity and ensure that the KKK is not after me, and and I just please don't post this online.
I have sympathy, but on the other hand, I go, what are you doing?
What are you doing talking about it?
So wait, so I go, me being who I am, I was like, well, I'm sure we can work out a solution together where I can cut a clip, not a joke.
Yeah.
Where I can cut a clip that's amenable to you and the FBI. So I get on an email chain with this guy and his FBI informant and my editor. This is the nature of the modern world. It's like the fact that the FBI is involved with me on the cutting of a TikTok. So we go in word for word, and I give him probably 3 or 4 cuts. I bleep the KKK. That was the biggest issue. I don't know. We're gonna have to figure out later if we
was it like beep beep beep, or was it?
You see what he just said? He said we're gonna have to figure out later if we can avoid.
We might have to do some bleeping in here. I don't know.
Sure.
We'll put us all on a chain with the FBI informant.
I'm not worried because even though I increase your podcast ratings, they still maintain a pretty low average viewership. So
that's whenever people
hasn't made it
I did a Patreon exclusive recently, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's okay. It's just for the Patreon." I'm like, guys, the goal is that it gets heard. The Patreon is not a vault.
Yeah. Well, I think at the very least, like, as long as it's not the clip, I don't feel too worried about it. I'm not disclosing any info. Oh, I did say, you might have to bleep the school.
Sure, that's fine.
That he was at. But I guess
Here's my rule. Let's you tell me, because we have to. We're figuring out new landscape right now. Here's my rule with bleeping. I will bleep anything. Let me send you the episode or your person. You tell me what to bleep. If it's very specific school,
my person
that's fine.
is your person, so just send it directly to your own girlfriend, and then she will tell you what's acceptable.
Sure. That sounds good.
You can cut out the middleman here and just show your girlfriend the episode. But so he came up to me. He said, so we get on a chain, me, the FBI, this guy, and we're going through edits, and we come to an edit that's like acceptable with the FBI, where we bleep the KKK. We bleep.
Now, which branch of the FBI is dealing with this?
I love imagining that this guy does this all day long.
It's
just comics
I think
all
it's
across the country.
It's this, and it's Hunter Biden,
he's
like
just
back
looking
and
at
forth.
TikTok videos of crowd work, being like, okay,
Yeah. FBI crowdwork department.
Yeah.
One day, you remember that there was a murder case that was solved because the guy who was accused was in a shot of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yes.
And there will come a day
He got off of murder.
Because they show that he was in the B-roll footage.
He was
the alibi.
They have the day that they filmed it, and he was on the tape.
And one day that'll happen with crowd work.
Well, there's for sure a profound interaction between media and crime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was a very vague sentence and not needed to be said at all.
That'll be the title of the podcast. That'll get people hooked.
There's
the intersection
profound
between
interaction.
media and criminal justice with Lucas Zelnick. with Dr. Squatch's Lucas Zelnick.
I caught myself saying that. I was like, what was the purpose of that
both
comment?
were like, yes.
Yeah.
We both agreed.
There's a
Deep down,
profound
every
interaction between media and crime. What the fuck does that even mean?
Every comedian deep down, like that seed of becoming a Chappelle where you get so famous and you're like, I think I actually should just share the wise thought without the joke. And it's what you just said.
Yeah.
I have a
couple
preview of
moments.
Lucas's career 10 years from now.
Yeah. what are we doing as a country? Where are we? Yeah. So we got on. So we found an edit of the clip, and it had taken me a lot of time. I was editing it personally to ensure. So we cut out. I think we cut out the KKK, and we cut out specifically the number of shots that were fired because that was like an identifying thing, and I actually don't even remember that number anymore. So luckily, I can't.
What, at the KKK meeting, they were like, 29 shots.
I think it was.
Sure, there's a news article where you could look.
Yeah,
up.
that's what it was.
Sure.
It was like it was a thing that identified what the crime was, and then there was a couple things about like where it took place that I won't divulge. Like a couple other things that were shared. So I cut all that shit out, and I still thought it was like a pretty interesting clip because frankly, I thought Brown Mormon was sort of the heart of it. I thought the funniest part of it was that if you have a near-death experience, you pick Mormonism of all things to convert to. I was like,
And just because he lived there at the time.
100%.
The place that the KKK found him.
Yes. And I did like a whole act out of like the missionary right after this happened. And he's like, this is what, it was like a huddle. It was like, this is what we do this for. Like, these are the moments that we are made as missionaries. Storming. So
it could have been the KKK, missed every shot on purpose, said, now we go convert this guy.
yeah. It was an inside job.
Yeah.
I mean, very possibly. So I cut this whole thing. And I was like, okay, it's ready to roll. And then I posted it, and it got like 7,000 views.
That is such a perfect end. That is such a perfect end.
God damn it. Nobody gave a fuck the entire time.
Half of those are just the FBI.
Yeah, it got more views than the average Downside episode, but still it still did very poorly in the grand scheme of how a clip should do.
You're listening to The Downside.
The Downside.
With Gianmarco Soresi.